Well, good morning, YouTube. Hi, guys. Today's project, we're going to work on this walk plank. As I said the other day, I want to come up with a system where this stays mounted to the roof of Goliath. So I developed a hinge system in my mind. I say developed, it's just in my head, that will allow me to bolt one end of this near the very rearmost part of Goliath's roof, and the other end of it will latch down securely so that it doesn't move when we're driving down the road. But when we get to a rally and we need to set up and we need to be able to walk back and forth between the two pieces of equipment, I can then unhook the latches and just flip it over like that. And it will land on the trailer and still be secure because it'll still be bolted down at the hinge end. So it's not going to actually fall or slide off or anything like that. So when I was at Tractor Supply yesterday, I picked up a few extra brackets and pieces that I think I can make work. And I'm going to lay it all out here on the floor of the trailer and try to do all the engineering and make sure it works before I take it all up there and put holes in my roof. All right, guys, so here's my preliminary layout, how I think it's going to work. I'm going to take a piece of this angle aluminum and I'm going to cut it to fit in this area here. You can see my line there. So the bottom part will get cut flush with this, and then I'll leave an extension that'll actually come out enough to pass that bracket on the outside edge. And then this will get bolted to the actual walk plank. And then the piece that's extending will actually get tapered down so that there's no sharp corners on it for clearance. Now, my first thought was to be able to just mount a hinge back here, but the problem is, because of the corners, when it goes to flip, the corners are going to catch the roof of the truck. So I have to set it back some. So I'm going to start with using this hole, because that way as it pivots, the whole thing will move a little bit more forward. And the bolts that I use here will not hit this bracket as it tries to come back down. You see, if I do it here, you look at the space between that mark there where I intend to put a bolt. As it comes up and around, it's going to hit this bracket coming down. And we can't have that. And if I don't like it being that far away, I can always drill a center bolt here. That way the spacing will be even as long as it clears this bolt, and it should all work. And if that works, I'll duplicate it for the other side over here. Of course, it'll be a mirror image of it. And then this whole thing can get bolted down to the roof and just flip over. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and crank the music back up and get back to work. And I'll be back with you in a few minutes when I get the first prototype made. All right guys, so here is the bracket. You see I've got the holes drilled where it can mount to the walk plank, and here mounted to the hinge point, and it looks like it will all work just fine. So with this mounted securely to the roof, this can hinge and fold down like so. Boom. Exactly what I wanted it to do. So I'm actually really happy with the way that this all worked out. And I think it came out pretty good looking. I mean, you know, a little finish sanding or whatever, make it look a whole lot better. But sometimes you put a lot of work into something and then realize there was an easier way right in front of your face and you never saw it. So check this out. After I got done working on all this, I put it together. I just happened to walk in here and I found this bracket laying around. Now, I have a lot of these. These actually come with the love jugs. These are the reinforcement bracket for the horn drop down bracket. The horn cover with both of the smaller holes on this end, and then this hole on this end mounts to the horn mount on the motorcycle. And I just kind of looked at it and I saw the offset that's in it, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, would that work? So I just kind of got back to looking at what I was doing here, looking at the holes spaced in that. Well, check it out. Those holes are almost identically spaced. They are almost perfect. And that was just me eyeballing where I wanted to put the holes on there. And well, you've got this part here, which could work as the hinge point. It would bring the bracket closer, but I think it would work without all the fabricating. So, just for poops and giggles, I did it. And sure enough, this can bolt to the walk plank, and then boom, it works perfect. The nice thing is I can move it closer because with the offset here, the bolt heads that are going to be here aren't going to hit anything. And well guys, it turns out this will be a much easier setup because the only modification I needed to do to this bracket was I drilled this hole out just a little bit bigger. This is set up for a 5/16 bolt, and I really want to use a 3/8 bolt on there. So one more step on the step drill, and it was done. Super simple, super easy. A whole lot easier than fabricating this whole thing. Of course, here I'm using an existing bolt hole in this bracket, and in here I drilled a center hole because the offset didn't seem to work as well with it being closer. So now the question is, do I make another aluminum bracket to mirror the other side, or do I just use my stainless steel bracket? I think I'm probably just gonna use a stainless steel bracket. All right guys, so I decided to go with the stainless steel bracket, and I've drilled the plank, some washers, and believe it or not, the coupler nuts in there do the spacing perfect to get this one out. If you see, this is like a C channel, where on this end it's flush. So we had to compensate for that just a little bit. But those 5/16 coupler nuts worked perfect. The quarter 20 bolts slid right through it. So now I'm nut and bolting, a couple washers, and this side will be done. Then we'll move to the next side. All right guys, as you can see, that holds it in there pretty good. Now I didn't tighten it down super far because this is hollow and it'll just crush it. I guess worst case scenario, I might be able to put another one of these in between there to strengthen it. I don't know if that would fit or not. Let's find out. Yeah, it actually looks like a 5/16 coupler nut will fit in there nice and good. It's a little play in it, but once it's compressed, at least it'll limit it from wanting to crush it all the way. Guys, I love it when a new tool comes in handy. So I just recently bought these really long reach handled needle nose. Work perfect for reaching inside the tube to line that up with the bolt. All right guys, as you can see, that worked perfect. It still brought in a little bit, but it limited how far I could bring it in, and that is really good and sturdy. All right, now I got both of the hinge points on. So I've got a locking nut on here, and I put a washer between. Now ideally, I think a nylon washer would have been great here, and I know I have some laying around someplace. However, for the life of me, I cannot find them. So I just used that washer there so that the two brackets aren't trying to slide against each other. And I was also very liberal with some AMSOIL spray white lithium grease. That way it's not just a dry surface. And I snugged it up to where there's no slop in it, but with a little bit of effort, I can still get it to pivot. Keep in mind when it's up on the roof, I'll have the leverage of the whole thing, so I want it to be somewhat tight. All right guys, got it laying on the floor just to make sure everything looks good. It looks like it's all gonna work. It looks like everything is gonna clear. I also tied an old strap to it because I think that'll help with better control once we're up there. Anyway, I've gathered my fasteners that I'm gonna screw down to the roof with, and we're gonna go up there and we're gonna test fit it. All right guys, well I think we have a success. Now I had to lay it on the roof a little bit crooked so that it cleared the box, and this foot right here didn't hang off of the edge. Now I do plan on reconstructing the roof of this at some point. It's a future project and we're not gonna get into that right now, but then I'll be able to shift this whole thing over when I redo the roof on it. But for now, the hinge point is there. Got these quick detaches here. So now I'm gonna set up the rally, pull the gate pins out. Gonna unhook my little strap. Then I can use that strap, and I keep in mind I'm doing this with one hand because I'm holding the camera. Use the strap to pick up on this, swing it over, and I can use the strap to gently lower it down, just like so. And I can hook my strap back here so it doesn't fly away while we're working. I think that works perfect. All right guys, so I still need to go up there and remove all of the fasteners, put some sealant underneath it, and then redo everything. That way there's no leaks up there on the roof. One other thing too is the two bolts that went into the bracket that are really close to the edge of the roof, I didn't calculate that exactly, and I guess they're hitting a piece of metal that's just below the wooden roof. Now that wooden roof is 3/4 of an inch thick, and I had just barely more than 3/4 on that bolt, but it's not allowing it to really draw that bracket down tight. It's sitting up off of it a little bit more. So I'm gonna go up there with these self-drilling bolts as well and see if I can't drill that metal a little bit, and then go back in with the heavier duty bolt, and hopefully that will work. Also, when the thing is folded forward, like in the position we're gonna drive down the road, in order to isolate it from the roof, I am going to put a little bit of like a padding underneath there. And it just so happens that I have one of these AMSOIL fender covers laying around, and Katie uses them on our displays to put on the tables. Well, they've got this extra flap that's designed to go on the inside of the fender that she doesn't need when it's on the table. So I have cut that flap off, and I'm gonna put this underneath the leading edges of both ends of that walk plank. That way, as it's going down the road, the metal walk plank isn't just vibrating against our rubber roof. There'll be some foam insulation in between. All right guys, and that works out perfect. That piece of fender cover right underneath there, where these rivets on the other side are against the roof. Same thing on the front side. It actually adds just enough dimension that it takes even all the rattle and wiggle out of it, so we're not going to hear it beating on the roof going down the road as well. Plus it's not going to wear on the roof itself. Works perfect for me. Well guys, I think all in all that all came out well. Yeah, I'm not real crazy about the fact that it is crooked on the roof, but that will get corrected when I do the roof project. That's going to be a ways down the road. In fact, while we're in Myrtle Beach, I am going to be consulting with Ron. That's you, Emery HVAC Ron. He's supposed to be coming out to Myrtle. I'm going to show him some ideas I have with the air conditioning that will involve remodeling the roof, and we're gonna see what we can do on that. But again, it's a project for way down the road. So it looks like I wasted a bunch of time making this bracket. I was gonna make it look a little prettier, but all in all, I mean, it would have done the job. But the solution I chose, I think, ended up being a whole lot easier. I think we're gonna call it quits here. I mean, it's only about 4:30 in the afternoon. I've got more stuff I'm gonna do, but I think we're gonna end this video. I really don't wanna work late again tonight like I have been doing. You know, it's Good Friday. By the way, happy Good Friday. You know, get Easter this weekend, but we're leaving on Monday. It's Friday. I've got a lot to do. I really can't afford to take too much time off, but I've still got other stuff to do. I was up until like, I don't know, midnight last night, working on some new Love Jug designs, wiring harnesses, trying to figure out the wiring harnesses for the new motorcycles and making parts lists and basically blueprinting them all out so we can put them into production. And just, you know, time-consuming stuff. So I didn't get to bed till like 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's pretty normal for me not to get a lot of sleep. And as long as I stay busy, I function pretty well. But I haven't had any breakfast yet today. I haven't had any lunch yet today. Well, I had a banana. And I'm hungry. And I'm thirsty. So I'm gonna regroup here, but either way, I'm gonna close this video and figure out what I'm gonna do. I may end up doing more and starting another video. I don't know, we'll see. I know I've got another project involving the inverter that I want specifically to be a separate video because it's not like fabrication doing the other stuff. It pertains to that whole off-grid solar system that we were working on before Daytona. Got some repairs and upgrades that we're gonna do to that. But again, it's gonna be a separate video. All right, guys, I babbled enough. Thanks for watching. And until next time I see you, keep those engines running.